I think the early game advantage is definitely going to go towards Legion just because of their gank potential and of their basic matchups. And I just don't like Nijaki running teleport out of the middle lane. I think it leaves them a little bit too vulnerable. But if they do reach the later stages of the game, I think Curse really does have overall. They have that AP Kog'Maw. They have Shyvana who's going to be disrupting and being able to dive down onto the the AD carry. We have Jarvan who can do the same exact thing, and Corki with his armor shred, Taric with the armor gain and the armor shred. I think we're going to have a very, very good match on our hands, Sala.
Yeah, I think so. As you said, we definitely want to keep an eye, in particular, on these junglers. That jungle Alistar, as you mentioned, is something that we're really going to want to keep an eye on here. And just see how this match goes. We do have a number of interesting skins here. I know the casters always like to look at the skins and see. One of my favorites, the Red Baron Corki. I know that's one of those early legendary skins that's sort of not so legendary anymore because there's been so many different skins that have been released since, but I still like that one. I still think it looks pretty neat. I'm always sort of a stickler for anything that has the iron cross there on the little wingtip design. But we actually do see the match getting started here. So nothing too interesting in terms of starting items. Pretty standard boots, 3 pots all around, and then standard support stuff. We do not see the boot starts on Taric. You do see that sometimes. The Taric support, you will see the boots and boots and 2 wards start. We actually don't have that. We just got sort of a standard Fairy Charm build for both sides.
And we do see that Curse is going to be the one that's going to be warding up the enemy jungle first. So the Legion sees that they're going to be doing the same exact thing here. Both teams going for a little bit of a jungle invade, but they're not really going to find each other. I think perhaps Curse may know what's up because Nijaki was in the middle lane, perhaps got a little bit of vision from Legion, so they do know that they're going to be safe in the enemy jungle right now, if that makes sense at all. Uh-oh, he does realize that Legion is going to be coming up through the middle. Nijaki actually acting as a nice little ward there, but they little out of position here. Oh my gosh, looks like Lodomortis is going to walk right into that bush, getting extremely low. Ignite will not take him out, but oh, he does get taken out eventually. That kill goes to Jarvan with First Blood. Legion on the retreat here. Graves does finish off on Elements though, so he does pick up a kill there. It is a 1-for-1, but First Blood does indeed go to Curse, and they are going to get the jungle invade down pat, stealing the raid. And now that Lodomortis has died and Alistar actually had to go back to base and is going to be walking back into the jungle now, they could potentially even contest this red buff and go to steal that.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to take this red buff. That's not as huge of an issue as it would have been stealing the blue, because Jungle Alistar without blue is really screwed, but it's a major setback nonetheless to be losing that. In particular, Jungle Shyvana loves to start with that red buff. So even though it's a 1-for-1 exchange there, it looks like Curse definitely came out ahead in that exchange just because they were able to take that red. Now, normally Alistar's really, really good in level 1 fights. He's one of the best level 1 champions in the game, but in that particular case, he just face-checked into a brush and just got jumped upon by the entire enemy team. So even though he, like I said, he's normally really good at level 1, he was never able to get that pulverize off at all and just sort of went down to the ignite, which unfortunately looked like it caught him with the last tick.
Yeah, and I was just actually surprised it did happen. We do see maybe Lodomortis going to be going for a little bit of aggression on Kog'Maw anyway. He does have a blue buff to his name rather than the red buff, so perhaps his gank potential early on is not going to be as effective as is his jungle clearing. So we do see he is going to go back, probably just pick up his wolves and go for a little bit more of a passive farm up into the jungle pattern before he goes in for some ganks. Saint Vicious in the meantime is going to be going back over by his own blue buff and secure that, realizing that Alistar is not going for any kind of aggressive counter jungling afterwards. I think Santa Vicious now in the jungle is going to have a little bit of an advantage over this Alistar.
Yeah, St. Vicious is definitely going to have the edge. He's going to be able to get both of his buffs. He already has that red. St. Vicious did try a gank on top lane. He was not successful. He took the red and then immediately went top, but it looked like Cruiser was all over that and knew that it was coming, expected that gank to be coming out. He was playing pretty safe, did not fall for it. But again, Shyvana, when she's able to get that double buff early on, and particularly with Alistar not having that double buff, will definitely be clearing at a much faster rate. You can see already the advantage right there. Shyvana on 10 minion kills, Alistar on 7 is also a level head as well. So definitely in the very early stages will be ahead, but that will mean less and less as the game goes on.
Definitely, but we do see here just lanes kind of settle a little bit. Jarvan actually had opted to go back right away, picking up what looks to be a Vampiric Scepter to his build. He did have a little bit of an experience advantage over Cruiser, but now he's gone back. Cruiser has been able to catch up. Shyvana getting very, very low against this red buff, potentially might fall down, but if that burnout does secure the kill, as Shyvana could just kite that lizard buff for a little while. We do see that Alistar is wants to go for a gank in top lane, but realizes Jarvan is nowhere to be found. He is level 2 right now to St. Vicious' Shyvana at level 4. So that jungle invade does set him very far behind. And Alistar, as we mentioned earlier, is a little bit of a snowball champion, as he does want to get these ganks off early to secure a place in the later stage of the game. Has not been able to do so. He's going to try to do it right now with Prowley in the mid lane. But no, Nyjak, he's just going to walk away. And now this Alistar, not as useful as we thought he was going to be in the beginning stages of the game, Sala.
No, it just all has to deal with how he gets set behind. As a jungler, if you get invaded and you get set behind, it just slows you down so much. As we mentioned, how he was only level 2 for a very long time there. It's gotten up to level 3, but again, when you get set behind, it just throws you off in terms of those timers. He was missing his red buff, so that put him pretty far behind just on his jungle route. Just one little thing on top lane, I know we've been talking a lot about that. We talked about how Westroyce went back. I really like the way he played that. Westroyce, he pushed a tower, and then instead of sticking around, he just goes back and buys. He picked up that Vampiric Scepter, as we mentioned. So when the gank from Alistar came up the top lane, he wasn't there. He was back in his base. So Alistar actually wasted some time sitting up there, and Westroyce, you know, like I said, he just pushed the tower, and then he goes back and buys, and he ends up being perfectly safe, and he wastes a little bit of jungle Alistar's time on Legion as well.
We do see that Lotta Mortis is coming around for a brush gang. I don't think Westroyce knows exactly what is up. Are we going to see? There's the Equilibrium Strike. Headbutt and pulverize into the wall. St. Vicious is over here, but Jarvan is really low. Has to flash to get out of there. Exhaust goes down onto Aurelia. Kalma coming in from the middle lane. Lotta Mortis is out of there. Cruiser is going to burn the flash as well. Now on the run, Legion is getting hunted down by the other two members of Curse, and St. Vicious will pick up a kill, thwarting the gank from Alistar on the top lane, putting that jungler that was already behind even in a more precarious position. And most importantly...
Tom, that was really well played by Nyjak. He teleported to the ward, and he used his summoner teleport to get behind that particular fight, and that's how he's able to pick up first blood there.
Oh man, prove me wrong with that teleport pick. That was actually brilliant.
Well, it's kind of funny because you often will see new players at League of Legends who will take that summoner teleport and they'll basically just use it as like a free clarity, just a way to go to base and then jump back and get a mana refresh. But you see sometimes in these real high-level games that people will just be really creative. The teams will put down a ton of wards and then they'll teleport to them.
Yeah, that was just very, very brilliant right there. That's actually really well executed teamwork by Curse, and I guess they really don't want this Alistar getting out of control. As soon as he got there, the rest of the team was there and ready to know what was going on. They had a ward in this tri-brush, but I don't think that Alistar even passed through it, so I don't really know how they knew what was going on. I guess they just had the pattern down on Alistar and knew that he was going to be coming around for a gank sometime soon, read the play perfectly, and just completely thwarted the gank there.
We actually did have a little fight down in bottom lane. Didn't turn into a kill for either side, but both supports did use their exhaust, so those are actually down on both sides right now. Graves was ignited. He did get fairly low, but he wasn't in any true danger. He only went down to about 150 health remaining, and actually both sides have now back. Both ADs have currently gone back. If you look at where they are, Corki's definitely ahead right now, although Graves does have the first blood, but Corki still, I would say, is ahead. He looks like he's going for a Trinity Force build of some kind early on. He has picked up the Sheen. Meanwhile, Graves is going for a much more standard build, double Doran's Blades, and a Vampiric Scepter. So we'll see how that goes, but currently right now, Cop is slightly ahead in lane over Demaloon? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name.
I believe it's Demunlaw, but right now we do see Lotta Mortis is donating his blue buff to Prowley, but while this is happening, a ward goes down from the other side from Curse, and they do steal the raids and the red buff. So Lotta Mortis is going to have to recall here, buy some items, is going to wind up walking into the other part of his jungle and realize that it's not there for him. So once again, just continuing to hinder this Alistar's farm out of the jungle, and potentially could be going for a gank here on Prowley. Legion does ping and notices that there are a Jarvan and Shyvana in a spot on the map where they shouldn't be, and that Cruiser's been up here free farming for a little bit right now. Prowley is going to opt to go back and play it safe. He does have a decent amount of bankroll right now, could be going back to pick up a Catalyst, and that is the item of choice. He does pick up a Catalyst, being a little bit more tanky, having a little bit more mana to spam those spells, and an additional Sapphire Crystal. He will be using that most likely for a tier of the Goddess, because like we said in the Champion Select, Rise is going to be using a lot of mana, and that is going to be buffing what his spells will do damage-wise. So he's going to need that tier of the Goddess to charge up. But ooh, meanwhile, we don't even notice in the bottom lane here. It looks like Corki is going to fall to Graves and Janna. He was there by himself. Taric was not around. Legion did a great job of identifying that and pick up a nice kill pretty close to the tower on Corki.
Yeah, that's just an example of one of the reasons why Graves is so popular. He just uses that full burst combo. He's able to quick draw in, uses Buckshot, uses Ignite, uses Ultimate with the Janna shield on him, and together it just outputs a tremendous amount of damage, and it looks like Cop thought he was safe there, but again, as you mentioned, Elements was back at base, his support was not there, and he was not as safe as he thought. And so that whole Graves burst combo is enough to get the kill.
Yes, it was. We do see here Alistar's going to be creeping up towards the top lane again, but Westrice just decided to just so happen to fall back towards his tower when Alistar was popping up once again. So no real ganks coming down from Lord of Mortis right now, and it's probably not necessarily the best thing in the world for Legion. Although Cruiser does have a decent amount of farm in the top lane, 69 to Jarvan's 51 right now. So he is going to be a little bit beefier, has about a level advantage on him too, and we see in that little skirmish up here, Cruz is dealing a decent amount of damage against Westrice's Jarvan. So even though they have a lot of map presence and they have been denying Alistar, I don't know if they're wanting the champions let snowball out of the top lane.
No, that's definitely not what they want, and top lane is looking really strong for Legion right now. Aurelia's natural innate sustain is giving her the advantage in this top lane against Jarvan right now. And one of the things that Curse has been doing well is they've been shutting down jungle Alistar. But as you mentioned a minute ago, Tom, they actually pulled Westrice's Jarvan out of top lane for quite a while in order to go and steal those red buffs. So that has put Jarvan behind in top, and Aurelia is really snowballing ahead.
Well, we do see here that Probably comes down from the middle lane, wind up picking up a kill on both Corki and that Taric. Janna and Zamunla doing a great job of switching aggro on the tower as Probably does not fall. His blue buff doing a lot of work. He's able to spam those spells and pick up 2 kills in the bottom lane there. I believe actually Zamunla picked up 1 and Ryze picked up the other one. So a kill for the AD, a kill for the AP. And even though Curse is doing a great job, as we said, denying Alistar and doing all he can there, as Alistar is actually chasing down Kog'Maw in this middle lane now. Kog'Maw would actually be in a little bit of a bad spot. They do identify that Ryze actually getting caught out of position here by that Shyvana under tower fire. St. Vincent is going to get out of there. Lots of action all of a sudden going on in this game after a little bit of passivity from both teams. But as I was about to say, Legion was going to be pulling ahead in those kills, but Curse immediately responds and takes another one down for them. So lots of stuff going on.
That was very well played there in terms of the getting, like you said, the quick response there from Curse. I was watching a jungle Alistar there. He actually missed a headbutt pulverize combination on Nyjaki's AP Kog'Maw right there. And that helped set up that play. I was a little bit surprised that after the double kill in bottom lane that Legion didn't make a move and try to do Dragon right after that, because normally if you get a double kill on bottom lane, the move is, hey, we just killed both people in bot, let's go and try to do Dragon. But they may have simply just been too low from that particular fight. They did take a lot of tower damage in that exchange, so that may have been their decision, but the net result is that the game is still very, very close. 4 kills to 3, basically dead even in the global gold total, and we still have not seen that first big Dragon fight, which is probably going to be the first real action on both sides. Still, there are some big positives for both sides. On the side of Team Curse, they're ahead in jungle. They also are doing a nice job in terms of farming that middle lane. Meanwhile, as far as on the other side, on Legion side, their Graves is 3-0, and that is a really good sign because you definitely want to snowball ahead in that bottom lane if you can. But again, the price for that is their jungler is somewhat behind. He does have the double gold for 10s, but that's partly why this game is so even. Each side is a little bit ahead in different lanes.
It's going to be very interesting to see how Lord of Mortis plays with his Alistar in a little bit of a behind position. We did know that he likes to go for a Trinity Force and deal a decent amount of damage in the later stages of the game, but now that he has that double gold per 10 item, he could possibly go for a little bit more of a supportish build and could be all about positioning and crowd control in these team fights. If he picks up a Shirelia's Reverie in addition to maybe a Randuin's Omen or something, that is going to be sublime positioning power for Team Legion in the later stages of the game. If he's going to be playing from a behind state, I'd like to see him do that so he can really help out the team, but it looks like he is going to engage here, gets the ultimate and a hit by Pulverize combo down on the St. Vincent, does not see Probably from behind, and he will secure that kill down there. Westrice is going to be dealing a decent amount of damage with the Ignite ticking down on Cruiser, but it is not nearly going to be enough damage. So now all of a sudden, as I was talking about positioning and Alistar, if he's going to be able to do that in time, really nice headbutt Pulverize combo into the Rune Prison, secures Legion a kill, and now they have a slight gold advantage against that against Curse right now. 2 kills in addition to that, and we could possibly see well, Alistar is going to take this red buff. Could we potentially see a gank on the top lane as Westrice and Cruiser are going at it? Cruiser stuck around after getting that Ignite and going fairly low, but Alistar looks to be possibly just heading around this jungle route and not for any more aggression, Sala.
That's a very significant loss for Curse in that particular exchange, because St. Vicious had gone and invested in an Oracle quite early in this match. I think he got it at about the 11 to 12 minute mark, and so when he died, he lost that Oracle. He was trying to looked like he was trying to clear out He was trying to check for wards up there, but he got caught by 3 members of Legion. And as you said, they did a nice job of stacking their stuns, the Rune Prison from Ryze, the Pulverize from Alistar, and they had enough damage just to burst him down. St. Vicious, again, of course, is running Exhaust as a jungler, which is very common on Shyvana, but that does mean he has no flash. So if he's not able to use his ult to jump over the wall, it is a little bit difficult to get out of that situation. So the Oracle, losing the Oracle is much more significant than just the kill itself, because it's not only the roughly 300 gold from the kill, it's another 400 gold down from that lost Oracle. So
And we do see here, it looks like both teams are going to be positioning to contest this dragon. You said that this is going to be one of the first big fights of the game. We saw Cruiser coming down from top lane after we realized that Westrice was not there anymore. Kog'Maw and Jarvan are going to be trying to zone out Ryze and Aurelia from over here. We saw everybody from Legion going down by that blue buff. They did not press to go for Dragon right away, and Curse had a little bit of time to react, but it looks like everybody's kind of scared each other off of this. They are still kind of hanging around the area of Dragon, but no one really wants to go for it and let the other team engage on them. But what we have right here is a little bit of the dance of the dragon, as it seems Legion is in position in the river, but Curse is threatening to strike either way. They are going to go perhaps onto the middle lane with Jarvan and Kog'Maw. Coming from behind, we have Shyvana, Corki, and Taric. The rest of Curse coming from below. Janna is still kind of hovering around the river, but Damunlal is just content of going down here and maybe taking this tower while the rest of the team is doing this little dance of death in the middle.
This is one situation where having that Oracle on Shyvana really would help Curse. There is a pink ward from Legion right at Dragon, so they have a slight advantage in the actual Dragon area. But again, anyone can face check into one of these bushes. Curse has a number of people hanging out right on the river, so if anyone from Legion steps in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're going to find themselves getting stunned and getting bursted down. But again, it looks like both teams are a little bit hesitant to try to force a dragon, probably because the match is just very close. So much so that if one team takes a lot of dragon damage, then they're probably going to lose the fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this fight gets initiated.
Ooh, look at Legion hugging the corners of this. They're probably going to try to get everybody in Curse into a position where Alistar can pulverize headbutt. He is going to go in. There's the flash, gets the headbutt down on Kog'Maw and the pulverize on the St. Vicious. Jarvan comes with the ultimate in the meantime, having to pop that flash on Ryze. He's going to flash into enemy fire, but get out of the way. Top will take down Cruiser though in the meantime. Probably eventually takes down Westrice, who did jump into the fray there on Jarvan. Looks like Alistar got very low. Probably is going to go in pursuit and wind up falling, as it looks like a 2-for-1 in favor of Curse there. I thought they were in a really bad spot because Legion was hugging the corners of that dragon, going to get a really good engage down on there. Alistar did not use the flash to go over the wall, but instead used the flash to catch up after Curse backed up, and I think that was the misinitiation right there from Legion, and it looks like they're going to lose a tower and dragon for this one, Sala.
The positioning for Legion was pretty good. I like the idea to hide there in the Dragon Pit. It looked like, as you said, they were going to get a great initiation on the fight, but they just didn't quite get it. It looked like Alistar only caught 1 or 2 people with his Pulverize. So he ran into the middle of the enemy team, but he didn't really catch that many people. And so he actually took quite a bit of damage, even with his ult running there. The other thing that I thought was interesting in that fight was Westrice playing as Jarvan there. He used his ultimate, and even though he did die, he did a pretty good job of splitting up Legion with his ult, with that terrain that he puts down on the map. I was keeping an eye on Graves just because he was, 3-0 going into that fight. He was kind of zoned out of much of that fight by the Jarvan ult. He was kind of back away from the fight, and meanwhile, it looked as though pretty much everyone on Curse was able to sit sort of in the middle of the fight and get their damage off, whereas, as I said, some of the key damage dealers for Legion were sort of pushed out of that. So it was a close fight. It's kind of hard to see everything that goes on in there, but just the little things about positioning are what can swing a team fight, and it looks like that's what happened there. Also thought that Cruiser for Legion, playing Aurelia, dived a little bit too far into the middle of Curse and got blown up fairly quickly. Aurelia, again, can do that later on in the game, but she doesn't quite have the items to do that yet. Doesn't have her Trinity Force, just has the Fade, the Sheen, and the Philosopher's Stone right now. So it needs to be a little bit tankier before you can just sort of dive into 4 members of the enemy team. 73 armor, 56 magic resist. Not quite going to keep you alive for very long at this stage of the game.
No, he does have pieces for that Trinity Force, but he is not the Trinity Force Aurelia that could just dive in and live through everything right now. He did have a decent amount of free farm in the top lane, and maybe that got a little bit to his head. He thought he was a little bit stronger than he normally was. Westrice's Jarvan was out of the lane for a while, so when he was trading favorably with Jarvan, maybe he thought he was just that far ahead when Westrice is actually that far behind. We do see a teleport again from Nijak as the Cataclysm goes down. Cruiser once again going to be taken down here as Westrice and Nijaki with really great teamwork once again with the teleport in the top lane. Take down Cruiser, now evening up the kills, potentially getting another tower here on the top lane. and just pulling ahead in the gold count. Curse is in a great position right now, Solo.
That's exactly what Westrice needed. He's behind in lane. He needs some help from the rest of the team. He gets exactly that. They have just a beautiful job of coordination on the part of Curse right there. They knew that Aurelia's flash was down from that last jungle fight. I'm sure that they saw that it was used, or not jungle fight, from that last dragon fight. I'm sure they knew that the timer on that was still down. So they pick the fight, they get the teleport in. And right now we actually see St. Vicious going ahead and stealing the blue buff as well, which is a very nice play as well. So right now, Curse is really hitting their stride. They're ahead by about 3,500 gold, which is not an insurmountable total, but it is significant at this stage of the game. And they're looking very strong, coordinated those last couple of plays extremely well. And we'll see if they're going to be able to snowball from this sort of minor lead here into a more dominant position.
They do have to be wary of the Munlaw's Graves on the bottom, though. Still 3-0-2, 157 farm, keeping par in stride with Corki in the bottom lane, who is only 1-2-2. So Graves is still going to be a force to be reckoned with in these team fights. They're going to have to remember that and not think that just because they are being able to bully around now Aurelia in the top lane and have been able to bully around Alistar all fight, that the rest of the team is really going to fall that easily. We did see Westrice, as you mentioned in that fight by Dragon, doing a really great job of zoning Graves out of the fight, not letting him deal as much damage as he could potentially add to a fight. If they continue to keep this up, I think Curse, like you said, has really hit their stride, and they are going to be in a really great position right now. But like as you said with the gold count, it's a good lead for Curse, but not an insurmountable one for Legion to come back and just really turn this game around.
No, by no means, definitely not. We actually see Jarvan has now sort of reached the point where he can sit back and he can zone Aurelia a little bit in the top lane. If you notice, Cruiser's Aurelia just a little hesitant to go out there and farm, and again, that's the result of these recent ganks have really helped out Jarvan and helped flip this lane, which, as we noted, Aurelia was definitely winning before. Elsewhere, the farm's pretty close. If you look in middle lane, 172 to 176, so really even there between the two sides. And in bottom lane, it's pretty even as well, though Graves has just picked up his Infinity Edge right there. I'm assuming that Corki's going to go back and get his Trinity Force pretty soon. But again, we've got another jungle invasion coming in here from Curse, and it looks like they're going to try to make a play here in top lane.
Yeah, looks like they are going to try to go once again on Cruiser. Has to burn the flash. St. Vicious, the rest of the Curse team catching up as well. Just gonna scare him off and get out of there. And they're just not letting Cruiser have a moment to breathe after he had a lot of free farm in the top lane early game. Now they're just really pressing onto him. Potentially could take this tower down. Probably does come from the middle lane though. Are they gonna back off? No. 3 members to 2. That is an advantage for Curse, and they take the tower because of it. And right now they're just doing a really great job of just pushing down every single lane. The Munlaw, realizing that nobody is in the bottom lane with him, is gonna respond and take down the bottom tower. But that is only the first tower compared to 3 that Curse has over Legion right now.
No, the tower in bottom lane definitely not as valuable. That's a very nice play by Curse to just put the pressure on in top lane, take that second level tower. They've actually managed to catch Nubish here, and he just explodes under all the damage from everybody just throwing out all their stuff, and that is another Oracle loss right there. So I believe that's actually the first one for Legion, but again, losing that Oracle, never a good thing. Anyway, it's going to make it very easy for Curse to come in and try to take that red buff whenever it respawns. Now the middle tower is down and 2 towers up in top lane, and you can just see the pressure that Curse is putting on this jungle, going in, stealing the raids, just trying to steal everything that's not nailed down. And another thing that's quite important is Cruiser did have to flash in that last gank, which means, once again, if Cruiser's Aurelia gets caught 1v1 with Westrice's Jarvan, he can just pop that ult, and there's no way to flash out of it.
The best part is Westrice being a little aggressive on this tower. Between Corki and Kog'Maw, Curse has so much poke over Legion right now. Legion really only has the Munlaw's buckshot to poke back at them. Ryze, of course, is going to be able to throw out some overloads, but it's not nearly the range that Corki or Kog'Maw has right now. So Curse pushing the advantage, going to be able to really just zone Legion against their own tower while they just continue this constant little poke thing. And I don't think they're going to let up anytime soon. They are in the middle lane waiting for these minions. Minions are going to come up and tank the tower, hit a couple shots, and look at the damage that AP Kog'Maw is doing in the middle lane right now. He has that Rod of Ages, dealing lots of damage. He's not exactly a squishy character right now with about 2.3k HP to his name. Blood and Mortis is going to go in here, try to make something happen. His Curse did get split as they went to go for this dragon here. He is slowed in the Void Ooze, winds up pulverizing nothing. Westrice and St. Vicious are going to go in. They immediately take down Blood and Mortis. Westrice goes in onto his Graves. He is going to flash out of there, but not before Kog'Maw can take out Aurelia. There they go again. Westrice will take down the Munlaw as Graves falls. Corki is chasing Janna out of the fight. Probably has to flash over the wall. But look at that, a flash response from Nijaki, melting down Prolly for the killing spree. And no one from Curse dies as the rest of Curse chases down Janna. pick up an ace. That is a 5 for none, Sulla.
Oh, that fight was complete and utter disaster for Legion. That's probably going to lose them the game, barring some gigantic error from Curse, because they're easily going to take Baron off of this, off of a 5-0 ace. As you mentioned, Tom, it's just a complete and utter just breakdown on the part of Legion there. Alistar goes in. He did not smite Steel Dragon. He did not get it. Curse did take the Dragon. He then uses Pulverize, hit absolutely nothing. Was bursted down immediately. So Legion was missing sort of their tanky frontline initiator, and from there, everybody on Curse absolutely ripped right through Legion. They are very far ahead now with a 10,000 gold lead. Not much more I can really say about that fight. They just had all their damage dealers just shredding right through Legion. And at this point, Legion may just want to start thinking about what they need to do in Game 2 of this best of 3. It's not completely over. We have seen teams lose leads much bigger than this, but at this point in time in the game, Curse is going to have to make mistakes to lose it. Legion can't really win the game on their own. They need Curse to make mistakes, have somebody get caught out of position, somebody off by themselves in a place where they shouldn't be, because that gold total is very significant in favor of Curse right now.
It really, really is. Legion is going to be one of those teams that has been known to come back from behind and play very well when they're behind. But the thing is, right now, they've lost map control. They've lost the Baron. They're in a very defensive posture. And they have a couple characters that just aren't as optimally farmed as they want them to be at this point in the game. Damunlaw's Graves is one of the characters on the team that is only really doing what he should be at right now. Probably did go for a Rod of Ages first and did pick up that Tear of the Goddess. He has about 520 extra mana out of that right now, but he's not really building his super tank yet. As he did pick up a Negatron Cloak and a Blasting Wand, potentially going for an Abyssal Scepter just to negate the fact that Nightjacket is dealing so much damage out of the mid lane. So even though Curse has been very aggressive on the map, they've actually been forcing different item builds out of Legion right now too, as they just continue this constant pressure and harassment. Callboy with a Baron buff and a blue buff right now. He's just wailing away ultimates, not even really caring who or what he hits, but it's just completely zoning Legion off of this tower. It's letting Corki solo push the bottom lane. Just look how much damage Janna and Alistar are taking. I don't even know if they know that they're getting hit or if they're worried about getting hit right now. Look at the machine gun from Nightjacket. He could potentially take down Lauda Mortis right here. Lauda Mortis is going to fall back eventually and not die. Graves is going to position himself over by the bottom lane so Corki can't continue to push. That is just going to let the rest of Curse push down this middle tower. And Alistar almost gets hit one more time, but he is able to get off the successful recall. But right now, Curse is just exerting all the dominance they have over the map, over Legion right now, and just really taking it to them and pushing it through with this Baron buff.
Curse is just in a completely dominant position right now. This is where Legion does not want to be. They do not want to be in these tower siege situations. That is where the advantage is for Curse, and not just because they're ahead. As you mentioned a minute ago, they have the much stronger poke team, and with Barons, mana regen and health regen, they can just sit back and siege up these towers, and especially while Nightjackie's AP Cog has that blue buff, he can just spam his living artillery over and over and over again. He can poke them off the tower, and then when they go to heal, then Curse is just able to go in for the kill. The only person on Legion who is scary, as you mentioned a minute ago, is Graves. He's really the only one they have to be worried about. He does have that red buff, he has Infinity Edge and Zeal, so what Curse is doing is they're splitting off Corki, so that Graves has to defend bottom lane, so that allows them to get Graves, the only one they're actually scared of, away and off these towers, because again, he's forced to go off to that side lane to defend that split push. So they're actually doing a pretty nice job of this. They actually have had to send Weststrike back to the top lane because they want to deal with this particular push. But as soon as he clears that up, I would expect that they'll probably try to use what's left of their Baron to force some kind of a push, just continue to poke and try to see if they can get some tower damage either on mid or in bottom lane. So we'll see how they choose to play this, but again, any situation where they're sieged up at a tower is just a huge advantage for Curse due to the champion lineup that they have.
Yeah, it's not exactly like Legion has any poke back, and they have an Alistar and an Aurelia who want to dash in there and really get in the face of the enemy champion, but they can't do that if they're continuously running into a line of fire. It's almost like they're lined up on like Normandy Beach right now, and Kog'Maw and Corki just wailing away, and actually meanwhile Corki is wailing away on Graves, so they got the separation they want and actually take down the Graves. Alistar will finish up Corki after he takes down the Graves. This just lets Curse realize that there are too many people on the bottom lane. They go into the tower right now. Now there's another fight going in. Element's actually taking a lot of damage from tanking the tower and everything. Westray comes in from that top lane. We'll get the ultimate off. Paul was able to take down Alistar, but not before Alistar can finish off Tarek, but right now it is a 2-for-2. Curse, I still think, has a little bit of the upper hand right now because one of the members left for Legion is their support, Janna, and she's not exactly going to be the most damage dealing of champions. Actually shielding up the tower, that is not going to be enough as Westrice and St. Vicious are able to take that down. Kog'Maw, sitting in the back, has a lot of stack on that Archangel Staff. Westrice taking a dangerous amount of damage though, will eventually go down as probably burst him down. Now they get the Rune Prison down onto St. Vicious. St. Vicious getting slowed from the Zephyr. Tornado does go off. Looks like Janna's going to be able to deal a little bit of crowd control, probably actually with the flash. Really wants to take down St. Vicious, but he flashes into where Nyjackie is just wailing the damage down on top of him. St. Vicious will fall. Aurelia picking up that kill, but Nyjackie could potentially take Cruiser down. Look at that. The Janna shield does nothing to him. That is... wow. Nyjackie, almost a full stack Archangel Staff just by sieging that tower down. I think he started at 400 from spamming that ultimate so much. He's at 836 right now, Sola, and he is just wailing on everybody at 6-0 and 6.
That was a little bit confusing. There was so many kills on both sides. Ordinarily, I would say that Legion made out decently for themselves considering how far behind they are. If you're that far behind and you're trading 1 kill for 1 kill, it generally benefits you. The only problem is, I think they're too far. I think that they're so far behind at this point that even the minor advantage from doing that is probably not going to be enough to catch them up, especially with Curse or Cop going ahead and taking another dragon. It's going to be another 1,000 global gold for Team Curse. Anyway, like I said, I think Legion played that decently. It's just that they're so far behind at this point that they can't just play decently. They have to play sort of superhumanly well. And as you mentioned, Nyjackie is just really out of control right now. He is he's on a 5-item build right now, although I guess he can technically turn his Chalice of Harmony into the Grail thing that they've introduced. But anyway, he has got a lot of AP now. He's up to 400 and 606 on the game. If you look at the overall global gold total for the game, he's at 13,000. There's actually 4 different people over 10,000.
We actually have a Shurelya going in here from Janna. Westrice will immediately go down on the Prolly. Prolly's actually going to live from a very well-placed Janna ultimate for now. Westrice will go back down in and take up a kill on Prolly. Now they're switching down onto the Cruiser. Cruiser immediately goes down. Triple kill now coming out for Jarvan. He takes down Janna on top of this. Porterski will finish off Graves, and a quadra kill being picked up from Westrice as they take down Alistar. I think your analysis was a little bit correct there, Sola, as Legion just too weak to stand up to Curse in a straight-up fight right now. Any advantages they have are just negated right there by the amount of farm that both Westrice has come back into the game with and Nyjackie, as they immediately take a 5-for-0.
The global gold total just too big of a difference there. They can't fight in the open. If they fight in the open, they're going to get hit. That's exactly what we saw happen there. The jungle Alistar just never really got going. If you look at his items, he just doesn't really have anything in the way of items. And Legion really needs Alistar to be their initiator, the guy who soaks up damage, and he just can't do it because he doesn't have any items. He's behind the whole game. So nicely played by Curse. Snowball out ahead. We saw how they got through that minor advantage of like 3,000 to 4,000 gold, and then from there they just put on a clinic on how to turn a small advantage into a big one.
Yeah, it was actually a very, very well